Good morning, Kira. Good morning, Chloe. Thank you for the roses, Jonathan. I'm doing well, Kira. How are you? Am I sleeping? No, I like to do that little vocal warm-up as I start the stream to prepare for the next part. Can do a couple more tones, I think. Yeah. I need God and Jesus loves me. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, we can start with the book of Deuteronomy, as we always do. Deuteronomy chapter 6, I think, line 10. It's the only part of the book of Deuteronomy that I can quote. Hello, hello. Gosh, all of these little, did they change the live stream topics? I'm getting all these little animations from you all. It's very cute. It's a little distracting. Topics. Those are the topics. I don't know how to do it. All these likes. All these likes. Yeah, sending likes. Alright, they must have changed the live stream so that likes can be sent. Well, that's nice. It's nice to know that you all are all enjoying this stream. Alright, good morning, hey Dudette. Good morning. There's already quite a lot of people here. I haven't even begun. You were in my live yesterday and you got muted because you referred to the beautiful wall art as vascular. I am so sorry, the UZ channel. There's, as you can see, there's quite a lot happening in my live stream, and my moderators are, they're spread a little thin. So yes, there was a bit of confusion, and I'm sorry that you were muted, and I'm glad that you're back today. And I'm glad that you like my wall art. It is vascular. It absolutely is. Yes, that was a mistake. Good morning, good morning. Am I a girl? Yes, I am. Do I prefer to live outside the system? I don't think that's possible. I live outside certain systems, but I don't live outside the system. I live in society just as much as you do. Alright, alright. Nope. Kimmy. Let me talk to Kimmy right now. I need another moderator up in here as we grow. Oh my gosh. Okay. Da da da. Alright. So, you'll be my moderator. Great. Please join my Discord server. All the people who would like to mod for me, please join my Discord server and chat with me over there about wanting to mod for me, and then I will add you as a friend on TikTok, and then you can mod for me in the next stream. Do I already have mods? I've got a whole mod team, and they're lovely, but they're also overworked because there's many trolls that want to bother me, and there's lots of people to mute. Do I view us as friends? That is an interesting question. Parasocial friends, right? Like, I don't know you. Even my moderators, I don't know very well because I've only been doing this for a month or two. but I really enjoy my moderators very much, and I think they're very thoughtful. And as we continue to work together, yes, they will become my friends. Um, but still parasocial friends, in that there are aspects of my life that I can't share with you all, and there are aspects of your life that you can't share with me, right? So it's not a balanced friendship in the same way, right? And similarly, I know it. You know what I look like. You see my image. You have a very high fidelity image of who I am and what I am saying and what I'm about. And I know next to nothing about you, right? So it's a one-sided relationship. But simply because it's one-sided does not mean that it's not friendship, right? And I care a lot about cultivating parasocial relationships. I think they're very valuable. And there are one-sided relationships that I've been a part of in my life that have profoundly changed me, right? Even though the people who have done the changing have no idea who I am and never will. So, it's an interesting question. Am I your friend? Am I friends with my mods? Yes and no, right? Or like a certain kind of friendship. A certain kind of friendship. But the more we interact, the more that friendship becomes less one-sided. So, alright, I want, there we go. There we go. Alright. So, let's start the stream, shall we? Let's start the stream. Shema Israel, Ashrae Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. So what is this? This is the Shema. That is the first word of this prayer. Shema. Shema. Shema Yisrael. Yahweh Eloheinu. Yahweh Echad. Listen, Israel. Yahweh Eloheinu Ashra Echad are one. Yes, this is a Jewish prayer. The setting for this prayer is the book of Deuteronomy. And the geographical setting is the Sinai Peninsula, where the people of Israel are not yet the people of Israel. They are wandering through the desert, looking for a home and looking for an identity, right? And so they invent this character named Moses to give them direction, and Moses channels the voice of Yahweh, which is actually the voice of the Levitic patriarchs, the priests, who are deciding the cultural fate of the people over the course of many generations. This story evolved, and the story goes that the people are wandering through the desert, and Moses speaks to them, and this is what he says. ואהבת את ענת אלוהיך ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. So I'll tell you what those words mean in a moment, but first I'd like to address a little bit of what is happening on the chat. You tried coming on my live yesterday and people were being rude, and I was defending you and got muted. Gosh, so you see my chat, it's very chaotic. And I appreciate the sentiment earlier that someone said of like, hey, if you don't know someone's gender, it's polite to use they, them pronouns, and let them tell you, or let them figure it out, and don't ask them what their gender is all the time. Shalom. Shalom, everyone. I appreciate that sentiment quite a lot. Yahweh, that is a word for God. Yahweh was originally a name for a particular god, a particular polytheistic deity. Yahweh was Ashra's wife, right? And then Yahweh became the god, and the word Yahweh became eschewed in favor of El, or something more generic like Hashem, the name. Gosh, saying so many things at once. So, for all of you who got muted in the past, mistakenly, I am sorry. My mods are working as hard as they can to keep this stream a safe place for everyone, and sometimes they mute people who are non-malicious in order to get rid of the malicious people. And the solution to this is to have more people join the mod team. So if you would like to help me moderate this stream and be more accurate in the decision making that happens around who gets muted and who doesn't, please join my Discord server. And there's a channel called Live Stream Discussion, and you can chat with me there about expectations for moderators and how you can help make this stream better and how you can help make this community better. So, I understand that sometimes moderator decisions aren't the best, but they're doing the best that they can, and they're doing an incredible job. And if you want them to be better, join the team. It's as simple as that. So, now that that is out of the way for now, I'm sure I will have to address it in about half an hour once everyone here is a new number of people here. It's unbelievable the amount of shame trans women get. It's pretty ridiculous, yes. And yet here we are, and despite the amount of shame and trolling that I am receiving, I'm also receiving some really incredible support. Hi, Ophelia. My students are doing great. Ophelia, would you like to moderate for me? You are not listed as a moderator here. I want to make you a moderator because you're incredible. Admin settings, moderators. All right, let's see here. Okay. And let's add Ophelia. Alright, Ophelia, you are now a moderator. Is it okay to ask what religion or belief system you have? Just curious. Yes. And someone asked what percent Jewish I was. So I'm ethnically Jewish. My grandparents were Holocaust survivors. My mother grew up in an Orthodox Jewish household, and I grew up going to a conservative Jewish synagogue. So the liturgy is sort of in me. But the Judaism that I practice is not really Judaism. Specifically, I find myself repeating the name of Ashrae over and over and over again, even though the Torah says repeatedly, don't worship Ashrae anymore. Thank you, Iron Viper, for joining. I appreciate that. I will add you as a friend, and I like my mods to be people who are consistently in my stream. So if this is your first time in the stream or your first time offering to mod, just continue to come here. I need my mods to be reliable. So yeah, but thank you for joining the server, and I really appreciate the goodwill. So is your great grandmother. Their stories are sad yet amazing to hear. Yes, so the trauma that is Judaism is very vivid for me, and that informs the way that I practice, the way that I pray. Who is Ashrae? So Ashrae was a Canaanitic goddess. This is one representation of her. There were statues like this that were found all over the Eastern Mediterranean, dated to around 3,000 years ago. And then there was a series of cataclysms, and she stopped being worshipped in part because that was a political flex by those who were in power to insist that their monarchy was the only source of religious authority and their god was the only god. And it's metaphysically interesting, right? Like, so the Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. It's a syncretistic prayer that says that Yahweh and El are the same God, El being a northern Canaanitic deity, Yahweh being a southern Canaanitic deity. And as Judaism evolved, both of those deities merged and they lost their names, right? Yahweh and El stopped being used, and instead the term was Adonai, Lord, right? God became more nebulous, more abstract, more removed. Katie, I'm so happy that you want to talk about moderator stuff. That's great. Thank you so much. So, that's who Ashrae is. Ashrae was Yahweh's wife before she was eliminated. And there are lots of language in the Torah saying, tear down the Asherah poles, right? But that's okay. We don't have to listen to everything the Torah says. So I'm Jewish, but I'm a particular kind of Jewish, and as we get later on in the stream, you'll see I also incorporate Hindu liturgy, prayers from the Shivananda tradition. Oh gosh, so many things happening in the chat, so I can't actually respond to all the questions, although I would like to. the attacks on the divine feminine happened across all religions. Yes, that is true. Is this a tree of life? It's not a tapestry. It's a Sharpie drawing on plaster that I did myself. But I'm glad that you like it. You know that Christians and Jewish folks pray to the same God. Indeed. Indeed. Alright, so we're gonna scroll down. You can't find me on Discord. There's a link in my bio to my Discord server, and you can click it there. Yes, I did draw this. Okay, so the prayers that we're saying, let's translate them, right? So the first 6 words in the book of Deuteronomy, they go, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Listen, Israel, these gods, Yahweh Eloheinu, Ashrae, they're all one. The serpent eats its tail, right? Someone asked me about my tattoo. This is a very ancient symbol. It's an Ashrae symbol, it's a goddess symbol, but it's actually even older than that. But this is the serpent who grows upon the tree of life, yes? A manifestation of an earlier form of religion which understood that life and death were intertwined, right? And so we can interpret the Shema to say this. All is one, right? Everything is actually one thing. And this is challenging to understand. It's difficult to know what to make from this insight, right? Like it's like saying that matter and light are interchangeable. All is one. Okay, what do I do with that? What does that mean? It means nothing. It's too big to mean anything. Please talk about the similarity with Islam. Well, you know, I don't actually know that much about the Islamic history, but one thing that we can say is that what Muhammad was teaching, right, Allah, right, so the word Allah has the same Semitic etymological root as the word El, right, El, right, they're the same God, right, this is a Semitic deity that has been worshipped with the same root symbol for thousands of years, for longer than Judaism or Christianity or Islam has been around, right? And Muhammad was doing a very similar thing that Moses was doing, right? Even though Moses was fictional and Muhammad was not, right? Unifying peoples who were worshipping diverse gods under a shared political ideology, right? So Muhammad was in the Arabian Peninsula, so further south, but did the same thing. He had some sort of insight on how to unite people, and he united them under a monotheistic ideology. And he attached that monotheistic ideology to the monotheistic ideologies that were in the north, right? So they are all effectively the same religion. They are evolved forms of the same root faith, right? So we can look at this tree and we can say that Judaism is here and Christianity is here and Islam is here. They all evolved out of the same people, out of the same metaphysical insights, and out of the same cultural traditions, right? They are the same tradition. They're just different branches of the same tree. Hopefully that answers your questions. Moses is fictional. Yes, Moses was not a real person. There's no archaeological evidence that indicates that Moses was ever real. And the story of Moses is very old. Sargon of Akkad was pulled out of a wicker basket, just as Moses was, right? But simply because Moses is fictional doesn't mean that his character does not have impact on our society today. Doesn't mean that he isn't real in effect, right? Moses did say these words. He did say, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad, right? Those are Moses' words, because who else would have said them but this character? Who wrote them? Thousands of people over thousands of years, right? And here's what they say about how to interpret them, how to interpret this monotheistic paradox that is insisted upon, right? They say this. Ve'ahavta et anat Elohecha u'v'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha v'chayu ha'devarim ha'ile asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'vitecha v'lechtecha havaderch uv'shachbecha uv'kumeyecha u'kshartam le'ohut al yadechecha v'chayu letortavot v'neineyecha uchtavtaham al mizuzot beitecha u'v'hisharechecha. And you shall love Yahweh Eloheinu with all your heart and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words that I speak to you today, which are being received by you through your telephone screen, words from my body into you, transmitted through the aether, these words, teach them to your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you rise up and when you go to bed. And you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead, and inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. So please explain what you believe. All right, well, here's what these words mean. And for those of you who have been here before and have heard me say this many times, I'd love to hear what you think it means. Right? That's actually what I want to be filling up this chat. What do you all think this all means? Yeah? So basically what this prayer says is copy me, right? Take these instructions to heart, teach them to your children, recite them when you're home and when you're away, when you lie down and when you get up, right? Which instructions? The instructions that Moses, again, this fictional character, I think it's so funny that everyone in the comments is arguing whether Moses was real or not. There's no archaeological evidence, but it doesn't matter, right? He was real in impact. He's real because I'm speaking his words to you today. Right now, through this screen, I'm speaking Moses' words. They belong to no one else but Moses, right? Even if he never had physical form, he has mimetical form. And what does the mimetical form say? It says, repeat me. It says, repeat me. And pronouncing Yahweh is always really disrespectful. Say Adonai instead. Well, Yahweh himself is a fairly disrespectful God. Yahweh's emotionally abusive and deeply patriarchal and violent and genocidal. And so, no, I deny the monotheism that is implied by preventing the name of Yahweh being spoken, right? The Levitic priests, they said, don't say the name Yahweh because he's too grand for that. He's not one name among many. He's nameless. He's beyond all things except gender. So I will say the name Yahweh. I will say it over and over and over again, and I will insist that Moses is a fictional character, and yet I am still Jewish, and I'm still a deeply religious person, despite these things. What is monotheism? Monotheism is the belief that there is only one God, or furthermore, that there is only one thing, right? That all of the universe is in fact a unitary thing, right? And what do we do with this fact? Well, we repeat it. We say it over and over and over and over and over again. And if we say it over and over again, maybe one day in our body we will physically experience the unity with all that is God, right? It might not happen until we die, but such is what it is. We are all part of this tree of life. We have been since before we were individual creatures, and we will be long after our individuality is subsumed by that. Subsumed by what? I don't know. Life, death, subsumed by entropy, subsumed by non-ness. I don't know how to finish that sentence. I'm sorry, that sounds like woo nonsense. Sometimes I fall into woo nonsense, even if my scientist brain tells me, hey, don't do that. It's nice to be vague sometimes, It's nice to just sound pretty, even if it doesn't mean anything. Religion only exists to begin our relationship with Goddess. Interesting perspective. So, the Via Hafta says, copy me. That's what it says. And so that's what I'm doing here with you all today. I am repeating these prayers, and I've repeated them every day for the last 7 years. I think that's pretty cool. But there's another part in the book of Deuteronomy that I wasn't taught, right? These prayers I memorized when I was a little boy. I memorized these prayers. But there's another prayer that comes immediately after the Via Hafta that I didn't memorize, was never taught to me, and yet I think is probably the most striking of all of them, because it's a recognition of the political reality that these people were operating within, right? It's not enough to simply say, hey, all is one, the serpent eats its tail, and you should just remember that fact, you should copy it over and over and over again. That's not sufficient, because that's not an identity, right? That's just a practice. To build an identity, you need a people, you need a land, and these next words recognize the history of that land, recognize that the land was stolen. And the word goes like this. V'chaya, Ki v'yachai Yahweh Elohecha el ha'aretz asher nisbai lavotecha le'avram li'yitzchak u'Yaakov לתת לך ערים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית, ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר לא מילאת, ובארות עצובים אשר לא הסת, וכרמים וזיתים אשר לא נטעת, והלכת ושבת. הישמר לך פן תשכח את יהוה אשר תישך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. This is not a Viking symbol. It is, in that there are Norse mythologies that do have the Ouroboros in them, Jormundir, the world serpent, but this is actually a symbol from the Chrysopoeia of Cleopatra, which is a 2nd century alchemical manuscript that was found in Alexandria, Egypt. The Ouroboros is a symbol that is older than any religion that we know of, and we find it across the entire world mythology. Every tradition has this symbol. I mean, not every. I'm sure you could find me a counterexample, but it is global. This symbol is global, and this particular symbol is Egyptian, not Viking. But yes, noting that the Vikings had a symbol that was very much like this, that the Norse people had a symbol that was very much like this, that the Greeks had a symbol that was very much like this, that the Egyptians had a symbol that was very much like this. That tells us something about the nature of religion and the nature of worship, right? This symbol is more universal than any culture or any particular isolated insight. But let's go back. When Yahweh Eloheinu brings you into land that he swore to your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to assign to you, great and flourishing cities that you did not build, houses full of all good things that you did not fill, hewn cisterns that you did not hew, vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant, and you ate your fill. Take heed that you do not forget Yahweh, who freed you from the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. So, what do those lines mean? Well, it's a recognition of the history of the land that these words were written in. Right? It's a recognition that the land of Israel became the land of Israel through occupation, right? It's a recognition that when Joshua conquered the city of Jericho, he killed all of the women and children within it. It says so in the Torah, right? The land was occupied, the land was stolen with violence, and Joshua went in and he found a great and flourishing city that he did not build, houses full of all good things that he did not fill, hewn cisterns that he did not hew. And we all live on stolen land, right? Right? The land that I live on now used to be Oneida, iconic with Israeli settlements stealing from Arabs. Indeed, right? This history has continued on, and it says it in this book, right? This book is 3,000 years old, approximately, and in 3,000 years ago, the theft of the land was recognized, just as it is recognized today, right? And you can believe that you have full rights to a territory. You can believe that it is yours, and that you have every righteous ability to live in it, and still recognize that it is stolen, right? This is the paradox, but it's not really a paradox, right? There are many people today who live in stolen land who believe that they have every right to live there, myself included. I live on stolen land, right? But I do think it's important to recognize that this land was stolen, that the things around me that I base my life on are not necessarily mine in an absolute sense. I did not earn them. They were stolen from someone else. They are predicated on pain, and I need to recognize that pain. It's interesting how new America is compared to other places. Yes. Homunculus, Full Metal Alchemist. Yes, the symbol is from there too. It's everywhere. It's an everywhere symbol. Right, so we all live on stolen land. And I drink from a cistern that I did not hew. I eat from vineyards that I did not plant. And every day I say these words to remind myself of that. I'm so glad that you've learned so much from my TikToks. People have been taking land from people since the beginning of existence. Yes. All land was stolen. Conquest was natural in that time. Yes. Right? And conquest is still natural in our time. Ashrae is represented in Old Egypt. Which goddess is she? Well, that's difficult to say, but here's an Egyptian goddess that I can tell you a little about. Her name is Kadesh, right, which is the same root as the Semitic word kadosh for holy, and she's very interesting. You can see here she is riding on the back of a lion, and she's holding a snake, hence the serpent on my hand, and she's arousing this man here. He's very excited. So all of these goddesses, they were interrelated, right? There was a tremendous amount of cultural admixture between the regions of the Eastern Mediterranean. And so Ashra, I mean, maybe she's associated with Isis, maybe Ishtar, it's hard to say. All of the goddesses are one goddess. All the gods are one god. All is one. Yahweh Echad. So, what do we do next? What do we say next? Baruch atah Yahweh, Eloheinu melech haolam, shelo ashani isha. I repeat the name of Yahweh Eloheinu, who did not make me a woman. So the prayer is about holding space for the pain of stolen land, to remember the pain. Yes, I would say so. I would say the prayer is about holding space for the pain of stolen land, in the same way that the prayer that I just said, right? Thank you, Yahweh, for not making me a woman, right? Like, it's a terrifying prayer, you know? And this is a prayer that is said by Orthodox Jewish men every day. Thank you, Yahweh, for not making me a woman, right? And it's not gender affirming. It's not, hey, thank you for giving me this body. Thank you for making me a man. I'm so proud to have this physical form. It's thank you for not cursing me with that other physical form that is lesser, right? And I can say that prayer, and that prayer could hurt me. Be like, oh my God, like what is this tradition that I've been born into? But I can also say it unironically. Thank you, Yahweh, for not making me a woman, for giving me the opportunity to do that myself. Right? Who is Yahweh again? Yahweh is the patriarch. He is the monotheistic God. He is he is Ashra's husband. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So I can say this prayer that reminds me that the land is stolen. I can say this prayer that reminds me that I was not born a woman. And I can hold space for that. And I can acknowledge that even as I can move away from it, right? And I can say, Baruch atah Ashra, Anat Malecha Ha'olam, Asher Yitzar et Ha'adam B'chachama Uvara Le'o. I repeat the name of Ashra Anat, who made me with many openings and cavities. And this prayer, too, is said by Orthodox Jews daily, right? And of course, they don't say it to Ashra, they say it to Adonai, to the Lord. But clearly, it's a woman's prayer, openings and cavities, right? So I can find balance in Judaism. I can acknowledge that the land is stolen, and I can acknowledge that the state of Israel has legitimate right to that land through acts of violence, even as I say, hey, I'm not into violence. I'm not into land theft. No, I don't want you to give up your land. I just want you to recognize, hey, you stole it. Maybe give equal rights to the people you stole it from. You know? Isaac had a wife. Abraham had a wife. Yes. And Yahweh had a wife too. Her name was Ashra. Didn't my mom make me? Well, yes, my mother made me. My father made me. Who made me with openings and cavities? I did, right? The ontological process, the ontogenetic process of embryonic development is largely determined by the embryo itself. I made me who I am, and I continue to make myself who I am throughout my life. I choose to take these little hormone pills that make me more of a woman than I was before, right? Development is an ongoing process, and we can recognize the pains of our past while still looking towards the future. It's not impossible. Is that a placenta on the wall? Well, if you want it to be. It's a ramifying pattern. It's a branching pattern. It's an evolutionary pattern. It's the tree of life. It's a mushroom. Looks like a mushroom, yeah. It's a placenta. It's a coral. It's blood vessels. It's veins. It's the pattern of life in all of its forms. You suffer severe mental health, and I helped me feel so relaxed yesterday. Well, you're welcome, Christopher. It's vascular. Yes. So, who owned Israel first? Well, no one. No one owned Israel first. The land was occupied upon the moment that occupation as a concept emerged, right? There were people there who were not politically organized, and then they politically organized themselves through violence and occupied their own territory, right? Who owned Israel first? There's no answer to that question. So how do I state that it's stolen? Because it's been stolen over and over and over again. The Persians stole it, the Romans stole it, the Greeks stole it, the Israelites stole it, the Philistines stole it, the Babylonians stole it, the Amorites stole it, the British stole it. Everyone has stolen that land. And we go on. So here's a song about that, right? Here's a song about one of the most famous thefts of the land that ever happened. This was in 586 BC. The Babylonian Empire came and laid siege to the city of Jerusalem and tore down its walls, destroyed its temple, killed and raped the people who lived there, brought them into exile in Babylon. And in so doing, they created the conditions for a world religion to emerge, right? Creation and destruction in one. Because the priests who survived that destruction had to develop new ways of thinking about their history and about their tradition, and the ways that they developed allowed that history and that tradition to carry on for thousands of years after them. Creation and destruction in one. And the song goes like this. It's a modern song. It's by Leonard Cohen. Who created gods, in my opinion? Well, these Levitic priests. Or Leonard Cohen, perhaps. All of us create God by talking about them and by communicating with one another about what we think the universe is. That's how God gets made. God is a social construct, just like gender or anything else. I came upon a wedding that old families had contrived, with Bethlehem the bridegroom and Babylon the bride. Oh, great Babylon was trembling, and she stood there naked with me, and Bethlehem inflamed us both like the shy one at some orgy. And when we fell together, all our flesh was like a veil that we had to draw aside to see the serpent eats its tail. Oh, some women wait for Jesus, and some we wait for Cain. So I'll hang upon my altar, and I'll hoist my axe again, and I'll take the one who finds me back to where it all began, back when Jesus was the honeymoon, and Cain was just a man, and we'll read from pleasant Bibles that are bound in blood and skin, that Ashrae is gathering all her children back again. When the Babylonians came to Bethlehem and destroyed it, it was like a wedding. It was like a serpent that eats its tail. And the civilizations merged and consumed one another, and history was made. Do I believe in the Old Testament? Well, I don't know what you mean by believing in. I don't think I believe in believing. But I'm teaching the Old Testament right now. That's your favorite song, Kim. Why? Why is that? I mean, I like it too, because I like Ouroboroses very much. But I'm curious what it means to you. So now we can move on to a different tradition. Oh gosh, where is it? I've lost the book. Here it is. Here's the book. We can move on to the Shivananda tradition. You see my tattoo everywhere now. Well, that's what it does. You see it one place, then you see it everywhere. What are my thoughts on heaven? I do not believe that heaven exists. Will I sing another song? Sure. This one is in Sanskrit. It's not Jewish, it's Hindu. It's from the Shivananda yoga tradition. And it goes like this. Gajananam bhutakanati sevitam kapita jambupala sarabakshitam Masutam Sakavinasakarnam, Mahaming Neshwarapada Pankajam, Sadananam Kunkumaraktavarnam, Mahamatim Divyamayuravahanam, Ridasyasinam Sarasananatam, Guham Sadanam Saranam Prapadye, Yaku Endutu Saraharatavala, Yasubravasvarita, Yavinavaranda Manditakara, Yasveta Padmasana, Yabramachuta Sankara Patrapi, Devasada Pujita, Samampatu Saraswati Bhagavati, Nihesa Jadyapaha, Om Namah Shivaya Gurave, Sachidananda Murtaye, Nisparanchaya Santaya, Shri Shivanandaya Te Namaha, Shri Vishnudevanandaya Te Namaha, Om Sarva Mangla Manglaye, Shive Savarta Sadike, Saranye Triambake Gauri, Narayani Namostite, Narayani Namostite, Om. I repeat the name of the three-eyed mother Narayani, who brings auspiciousness to all. So yes, there are Hebrew songs that I can sing. There are some Hebrew songs that I don't often sing, right? I can sing one very briefly for you that I quite like. It goes like this. Hine matovu manaim, shebet achim gam yachad. Hine matovu manaim, shebet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shebet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shebet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. You speak Hebrew like you learned as a child? Yes, I did. I don't speak Hebrew fluently. I don't speak the language, but I learned it as a child. I learned these syllables. The translation of that prayer is, how good it is for friends to gather and sing together. I'm glad you liked it. So, how old am I? I'm 30. What do I believe happens after death? I keep on getting this question. I should make a video about it, because it's not really a question that I can address in this live stream as elegantly as I would like. I'm glad that you like my videos, Jen. More Hebrew songs. Well, I have a few more for you. Life after death. I believe that we are all part of the tree of life, right? That is why it is literally behind me whenever I go live. We are all part of the tree of life, and we have been since life began 3.8 billion years ago, and we will be until life is done. The tree is unbroken and unending, even as individual organisms live and die. There is something greater than our individual lives, which we are all a part of, cannot help but be a part of. We share our DNA with every other living creature on the planet. We are one unbroken lineage. We are one family, right? And so death is real. When my body dies, something will be lost forever and I will be gone. But something will remain. This genetic pattern will remain. Images of me will remain, and they will continue to impact the life that goes on. We're an unbroken thread, and will be until all life is gone. That is what I believe about heaven. That's what I believe about life after death. That's what I believe about reincarnation. I think we have a lot of ideas about these sort of things, and many of them tell us more about the way that the human mind thinks than about the nature of the tree of life. But nonetheless, we're all part of that tree, however we choose to understand it.
Yo, how you doing, bro?
Oh gosh, no.
Yo, hello?
How do I leave this?
No, don't leave. I'll give you $100 Fortnite card. What you said? I swear.
So it goes. Gosh, TikTok. TikTok is ridiculous. What just happened? Oh, welcome to TikTok. Pain every day. Can you be a moderator? Join my Discord server and we can chat. We can chat about moderation in this room. How did that happen? I clicked a thing I should not have clicked. I clicked a thing I just should not have clicked, but I'm glad that it entertained you all. Alright, let's sing some more. Triambakam yajamahe sugandim pushche vardhanam Orvar kamibavandanan mrityar mukshiyamamritatom Triambakam yajamahe sugandim pushche vardhanam Orvar kamibavandanan mrityar Mukshiyamamritatom Sarvesham Svastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina Sarve Santu Nimamaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashantu Makashitu Kabagbave Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityur Mamritam Gamaya Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate Om Shanti 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 Om Peace 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 Om. That outer world is full. This inner world is also full. From fullness comes fullness, taking full from full. Fullness remains. Om. Peace. 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 I'm so sorry that the sound is low. There's not much that I can do about that other than restarting the stream, and I don't want to restart the stream. Where did I learn Hebrew? I learned Hebrew in synagogue. Come on. Maybe that helps. Da da da. Alright, oh my gosh. There's so much going on. You tried twice. Shalom Aleichem. So, people are leaving because I'm too quiet. But some of you, okay, can some of you hear me okay? You found and made some apple pie with food waste apples. That's so great. No one is here for my rituals. I think that's not true. It's better now a bit. You can. Alright, y'all can hear me. Alright, so I lost some of you, but it's okay. No sound, you can hear. Your volume is all the way up and blah blah blah. Modern Orthodox Jew here. I have an awesome vibe. Well, that's great, Jinbits. I'm really... you're exactly the kind of person I want to be talking to. My sound is very low. Okay. I don't know what to do about that. I suppose I could leave and come back, but I don't want to do that. I don't want the live to be over and then you'd all be gone. It's fine. We're almost done anyhow. So, a little whisper you can hear. We will all be okay. We'll all be okay. You can bring this closer if you like. Yeah, how's that? If I just get closer? Does that work better?